Hey guys, Tom Chris from the Fantasy Injury Team here. It is Friday ahead of week 4. Give you some updates on the San Francisco wide receivers, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, both who are dealing with injuries ahead of week 4. Let's start with Deebo, who we know he suffered a rib injury in week 3. Not a fracture. Luckily, that was ruled out through an x-ray. And he's been really limited in practice this week. So to understand how this may impact his performance, we need to understand the anatomy of the ribs. Obviously, they make up a huge portion of our torso. Our torso is normally what's going to be contacted in football. And whenever we breathe, our ribs have to expand and then recoil. So we inhale, they widen, we exhale, they recoil. With a rib injury, that's going to hurt. And thinking about when we run or do anything athletic, our respiration or breathing rate increases. So a lot of times when there's not a fracture, dealing with a rib injury, it's a pain tolerance thing. And to add on to that, some major muscles attach on the ribs. We have the lat muscles, the pecs, the obliques. Those are just a few that are highly involved in sport. So think about the pecs and the lats. They really pump our arms when we're running, but also they help a ball carrier secure the ball to his chest to prevent fumbling. The obliques are big abdominal muscles that rotate our torso. So that's again involved in running, twisting to make a catch, bracing for impact. They all attach on the ribs. So depending on where exactly his rib injury is, when these muscles contract, they could pull on that injured spot, causing some discomfort. But again, when there's not a fracture, this is really just a pain tolerance thing. And we know that Deebo is one of the toughest dudes in the league. So it's not out of the question for him to still be able to play through this injury. We may see a reduction in his snap rate just as in the Niners' way of trying to protect him from a re-injury. That could, of course, happen with the wrong hit. But from a per play standpoint, I would not expect a major hit on his production. We just saw DK Metcalf, who's dealing with a similar injury last week, still went 6 for 112, which is an awesome fantasy output. So if Deebo suits up, which we'll have to keep monitoring, I'll be tweeting about him through the weekend. If he plays, go ahead and start him. Unless you have like an incredible alternative, you're going to start him. And you probably drafted him 4th round. He's your wide receiver 2 at worst. You got to play him if he plays. And let's talk about Brandon Ayuk, who's dealing with that shoulder injury that kept him out last week. Initially, they looked for a clavicle or collarbone fracture, not present. That's great. Tells us there's probably just a AC joint sprain. He's been cleared. He's good to go this week. And with this being an upper body injury, it's not going to affect his ability to run routes, get open, get deep, make plays after the catch. And they wouldn't put him out there if he doesn't have the shoulder mobility or range of motion to catch a ball above his head. So with that, again, from a per play standpoint, I'm not expecting any dip in production from Brandon Ayuk. We do typically see a 10 to 15% reduction in the snap rate. So for both of these guys, Deebo and Ayuk, a per play standpoint, don't expect these injuries to hinder them, but we may see them not out there on quite as many snaps as we typically are used to seeing.